Who is the real Brienne of Tarth? What drives her? And what is really going on between her and Jaime Lannister? Hi everyone, this is Robert. Welcome to In Deep Geek. Particularly if you're a first-time viewer, please do consider subscribing if you enjoy the video. We're going to look at Brienne's character, both what is revealed in the show and what we know from the books, and make predictions for the last 2 seasons of the show based on where her character arc is taking her. Brienne has proven time and again that she is one of the finest fighters in all Westeros. In fact, she has never been beaten on screen in one-on-one combat, and can boast victories over Jaime Lannister, the Hound and Loras Tyrell. She easily defeats multiple opponents by herself on several occasions, and even seemed to be doing a reasonable job of holding off a bear armed only with a stick. And yet she remains underrated and misunderstood by almost everyone who meets her. But this is not new for Brienne, and to understand who she is as a person now, we need to understand what she has been through as a person before the TV show started. Brienne is the only living heir of Lord Selwyn Tarth of Evenfall Hall, which is on the island of Tarth just off the coast of the Stormlands. Her mother, 2 sisters and brother all died while she was young, and her father, keen for the family name to continue, 3 times arranged for her to be engaged. The first potential husband died tragically. The second took one look at her and broke off the engagement, and the third tried to insist that she wear dresses rather than armour. She left him with a broken collarbone, and her father didn't try again, instead allowing or even encouraging her to improve her fighting skills. This must have been a great relief for Brienne, because she didn't really fit in as a ladylike courtier. The book's descriptions of her are of a woman, to put it kindly, who isn't classically beautiful. She has crooked teeth, swollen lips and misshapen nose. She hides away from social gatherings because she knows people will laugh at her appearance. Honing her fighting skills and pursuing knightly ideals became her focus. It was what she was good at and what she enjoyed doing. It didn't stop the name-calling, and perhaps they even redoubled once she had set herself on the path of proving herself in a career usually restricted to men. But it was a way of escaping from courtly life. But more than that, it was about becoming who she wanted to be. She has emerged from this experience with 2 clear and strong character traits that have defined her role in the show. First, she, perhaps more than any other character, has a finely honed and perhaps even idealized view of the role of a knight and the honor and responsibilities that come with it. Her driving force has been to serve a noble, swearing her sword and her honor to them, even if it means fighting or killing people she doesn't want to. Most poignantly, she told Jaime that if he attacked Riverrun, she would be honor-bound to fight him, despite her feelings. It was only the personal intervention of the Blackfish that prevented it. The irony of this upholding of knightly virtues is that, as she so often points out, she isn't actually a knight, nor as a woman could she ever be one. The second character trait that emerged from her childhood was how easily her hard-boiled shell could be penetrated, and she could love someone who showed her compassion and understanding. Through all her life she had been mocked and laughed at for her size and lack of social graces, but when she followed her passion and talent to become a fighter, she was ridiculed, underestimated and ignored simply because she was not a man. It is understandable that when someone does see behind the mask and values her, and cares about her, she is willing to follow them with all her heart. And for her, crucially, this love does not need to be requited. We have seen this 3 times on the show. First, and perhaps most deeply, it was with Renly. She first met him as a teenager. He was charismatic, handsome and high-born, and he noticed that at the ball held in his honour on Tarth, many men were either snubbing Brienne or only dancing with her as a joke. So he danced with her, not as a joke as so many other men had, but enjoying her company. Once others saw that Renly was taking her seriously, the laughter and mockery stopped for an evening. Brienne fell in love with him from that moment. It didn't matter to her that her love was unrequited, or that, as Renly was gay, it never would be. She just wanted to be close to him and serve him in the best way she could. For her, that meant joining his Kingsguard when he announced his claim to the Iron Throne. She fought for the honour, and it was clear that, Loras aside, it was her that Renly trusted most. She was at his side when he parleyed with Stannis, and there at the end of the day when he took his armour off. If Renly had survived, there is no doubt that Brienne would have found fulfilment living out her life as his closest protector. When he died, she seemed to have just 2 drives left: to avenge him, as she did when she executed Stannis at the end of Season 5, and perhaps buried deeply within her a need to serve again as a sworn knight. Catelyn gives her this opportunity. But it would be wrong to think that Brienne gave her service cheaply or easily. For Brienne, her service is earned. Cat rescued her, literally and figuratively, from the position she found herself in after Renly was killed by Melisandre's shadow creature. And Brienne repaid that care with her service. With Jaime, of course, it is very different. It is a growing love built on a shared experience. Both of them are judged by everyone they meet, and rarely find a kindred soul who will judge them for who they are, not just what they look like or what they have done. With Brienne, Jaime can truly be himself, telling her his side of what happened when he killed the Mad King, how he did it to save the lives of thousands. This was intensely personal to Jaime. The whole world thought they knew what had happened and what sort of man he was, and to have Brienne not just listen, but to understand him, touched him more deeply than he could admit. For Brienne, it was when she realizes that she has his respect, as a fighter and as a human being. She knows that both are hard won, and to have Jaime show he cares about her twice in a short space of time, first by lying to prevent her from being raped, then by returning to save her from the bear pit, will have meant everything to her. Their meetings since then have been laden with meaning. Neither can say what they feel, but their actions show so much. When Jaime gives her a Valyrian steel sword to use in searching for Sansa and Arya, she names it Oathkeeper. This isn't just in contrast to Jaime's nickname as Oathbreaker, or indeed in recognition of her keeping her own oath to Catelyn. It is in full knowledge that she wants to return the sword to Jaime one day. She knows that Jaime's reputation as an oathbreaker stems from people simply not understanding how many lives he saved by killing the Mad King, and she wants his sword's name to tell the truth, even if he can't. So where next for Brienne? Well, we last saw her leaving Riverrun with Pod in a boat. Presumably she will now be heading back to Winterfell, to Sansa, to report back on what happened there. What she does then is really reliant on Sansa. Brienne will basically do as she is told, either stay with Sansa to protect her, or if Sansa feels safe now she is firmly ensconced in Winterfell, perhaps she will send her off on a mission. This is, after all, her major role in the show. Catelyn sends her off to escort Jaime to King's Landing. Jaime sends her off to find the Stark sisters, Sansa sends her off to Riverrun, and so on. But I think for the first part of the season at least, she will be in Winterfell. One scene I would love to see is her and Arya fighting over who gets to kill Melisandre. Both will be heading north to Winterfell at precisely the time that she is heading south away from it, so a meeting of the ways is quite likely, and both of them will have very good reasons for wanting the Red Lady dead. But I think the honour will be Arya's. So perhaps Brienne will have a quiet Season 7, but there is still a bit more to her story. It would be a strong conclusion to her narrative arc for her to end up as a member of the Kingsguard or Queensguard as the show ends. Finally, she would gain the recognition that her skills deserved, and I do not doubt that she will gain fulfilment in that. Perhaps it will be for Sansa as Queen of the North, or perhaps for the Iron Throne itself. But the real satisfaction at the end of her story would be for her undiluted devotion to be requited. Renly couldn't. But what about Jaime? I would love there to be a happy ending to this story, but I fear there won't be. I'm sure their paths will cross again. The two swords forged from Ned Stark's greatsword, Oathkeeper and Widow's Wail, will both, I am sure, end up in service to the Stark children. And I think we have already seen the moment when Jaime's love for Cersei dimmed. But the idea of the two of them settling down to domestic bliss doesn't suit either of them. I wonder whether Brienne's vows as King or Queen's Guard will prevent her from pursuing her other heart's desire. And Jaime, I think Jaime will be a broken man, after finally bringing his infatuation with Cersei to an end in the most heartbreaking of ways. I've done a separate video on that if you want to check it out. I think we will see Brienne and Jaime part for the final time as the series ends, with that same look of longing in their eyes, their love requited on both sides, but never acted on, and perhaps never even spoken of. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like it. If you want to see more like this one, please click on the subscribe button. And if you want to support the channel in other ways, please check out my Patreon page. Thanks again. That's all for this time. I'll see you again real soon.